Peace and love, black families. The Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson, live and direct, Johannesburg, South Africa. It is October the 2nd here, but I'm sure it's still October the 1st back in the United States, since we are 6 hours ahead of you. So we just came back from a powerful lecture at the Market Theater, Dr. Umar Johnson's first presentation here during my second annual South African Fred Douglass Marcus Garvey Unapologetically African National Tour. We have another event tomorrow. Looking forward to that. I'll be going all across South Africa during this month. We have Pretoria, we have Eastern Cape, Western Cape, we have Johannesburg, KwaZulu, Natal, Cape Town. We're going to be going all over Soweto. Shout out to Soweto. And it's just a good look. Really good look. Looking forward to seeing the brothers and sisters at the Apartheid Museum, in the Hector Peterson Museum, in the Mandela House later this week. I'm going to go on by 3 of my favorite places to visit. What I want to do right now, and I know we didn't finish our conversation on behavior that we began earlier, and I promise you I will get back to our conversation that we had earlier on behavior. But looking at my emails, I've been getting a lot of questions about the psychoeducational evaluation process, also known as the special education evaluation process. Now, before I get into this, there's something I need to touch on. Many of you guys know that I recently went up to New York City to sit down for an interview with Vlad TV. They reached out to me. Probably because my second Breakfast Club interview went viral. Shout out to the Breakfast Club, Charlemagne, DJ Envy, Angela Yee. Appreciate you guys for pushing my work out there to the people. One love to y'all. So I guess they, Vlad saw the success of that second Breakfast Club interview, so he brought me in. We did the interview. I guess it was about an hour to 90 minutes long. I thought we had a pretty good conversation. Some of the questions were bullshit questions. Of course, he brought up the conscious scandal situation with her, and he brought up homosexuality. And I didn't think either one of those issues need to be brought up because I had dealt with them so many times in the past. But it's okay. I answered the question. So they started uploading clips of the interview over the past couple of days. I see one clip is entitled, Dr. Umar says you can open up an all-gay school, but you can't open up an all-black school. Okay, which is true. I said that. But that was not the focus of the conversation. The focus of the conversation was why I was opening up a school to save black boys. The focus of the conversation was not about gay schools. And the last comment made in that segment pertained to homosexuality only. That whole conversation was about what I'm trying to do for black boys. And I'm bringing this up because I take issue with the fact that a lot of these people who do radio shows and interviews, they love to misrepresent my work to the public. And I just want to say to Vlad TV, I don't like the way that you guys edited, or should I say named those segments. That segment should not have been named, you can have an all-gay school, but not an all-black school. That wasn't the purpose of the conversation. The purpose of the conversation was why I'm opening up a school for black boys. You took the last statement in that segment and named the whole video after that. That was very irresponsible. And I understand why. Because a lot of you fuck boys are about sensationalism. You want to sensationalize everything. You don't care about anybody's mission. You don't care about what I'm trying to do to save our children. You just want to get ratings. And because I'm considered, quote unquote, controversial, you'll just take what I say out of context and name it what you want to name it, and have people thinking that I went to Vlad TV to talk about gay people. Let me say something. Homosexuality is not a priority in my life. But y'all constantly bring it up because I don't agree with it. Okay, and I don't mind answering the question about it. But then it's time to move on. My focus is saving black children, not stopping gay people from doing what they want to do. I have zero control over what homosexuals want to do. So for you to name a clip You can have a all gay school, but not an all black school. I didn't drive up to New York to talk about gay people. And then you put up another clip, also entitled Homosexuality. Umar Johnson, no African society has ever legitimized homosexuality. That's true. No African society has ever legitimized homosexuality. That's absolutely true. Those words came out of my mouth. But that was not the purpose of that conversation. So, if anything, you should have entitled it a conversation on the triggers or causes, okay, of homosexuality or sexual dysfunction or whatever you want to call it. The first clip should have been titled, Why Dr. Umar Johnson Has Opened Up a School for Black Boys. So the first clip is named a homosexual topic. The second clip is named a homosexual topic. And both of those clips were part of the same conversation. So if you were going to name a clip about homosexuality, why didn't you keep it together? Why did you split out the damn conversation so you can put two separate clips up about homosexuality when all of that was the same conversation? So that's what you call irresponsible journalism. That's that ghetto shit. And people warn me about going on Vlad. They've warned me, but I said, you know what? I'll give them a play, but not no more. And then the third clip. So I'm looking for something. We discussed black economics. We discussed the negative image of black men portrayed in the media. We discussed a lot of good, solid, usable, relevant information during that Vlad interview. So then I said, okay, I know they're going to upload something positive. So then you upload a third clip. And this one is Umar Johnson talks about how he lost a $1 million donation because of the scandal. It's true. I lost a $1 million donation. But that was 2 years ago. Why are you bringing up old ass, irrelevant information? We could be talking about black power, black economics, the black family. We could be giving parents tips to raise their children. We could be talking about the charter school takeover. We could be talking about police genocide. There's so much. We could be talking about Pan-Africanism. There's so much we could be talking about. And you piece out this one little piece about a donation I lost 2 years ago. I haven't seen a positive clip yet from that Vlad interview. If I knew that y'all was going to do some fuckboy shit, I wouldn't even drove 2 hours up to New York City. So I don't think I'm messing with you guys no more because I just didn't appreciate it. And I'm not knocking the brothers who was there. Shout out to the brothers there because I don't think y'all make the final decision. I think that white supremacist makes the final decision about how things go down. But be that as it may, I'm going to put it behind me. It's over. It's no need to cry over spilt milk. I just want to say I don't appreciate the way that y'all named the interview clips during that interview. Very, very, very irresponsible. Now, let's talk about the topic, the psychological evaluation process. This is what we should have been talking about on Vlad TV instead of dealing with fuckboy shit. But nonetheless, let's deal with it. The first step in the psychological evaluation process is for someone to recommend an evaluation because they believe that your child is struggling academically. Okay? This first step is critical because when a parent is asked whether or not the school has permission to evaluate their child, when someone comes to you as the mother or the father and says, we think your son or daughter needs special education, they need an evaluation to determine if they need special education. The first thing you should do as an African parent is you should stop and ask yourself, do I agree with the school that my child has a learning challenge? The biggest mistake we make as parents when we're dealing with special education and the special education evaluation process is we do not think about whether we believe our child has a learning problem. If you don't believe your child has a learning problem, they should not be getting evaluated. I don't ever want a black parent, and I want y'all to hear me well. I don't ever want a black parent to defer judgment to the classroom teacher. Never. I'm going to say it again. You know how you go to the doctor's office and you say, well, the doctor knows more than me, so I'm going to defer judgment to the doctor. You know how you take your car in to the shop for an inspection and you don't think nothing's wrong with the brakes, but the auto mechanic thinks something's wrong with the brakes? You might defer to their expertise. I don't ever want you to defer to the expertise of the classroom teacher. And I'm not knocking a classroom teacher. I'm simply saying this. Nobody knows about your child more than you. Nobody knows about your child more than you. Okay? You are the master of that little boy or that little girl, that young man or that young woman. You're the master. No teacher can tell a mother more about her child than she already knows. So if it don't feel right, this is when you need to rely on your intuition. If somebody tells you, we think your son has an emotional disturbance, we think your daughter has mild mental retardation, we think your grandson has a reading disability, we think your granddaughter has a math disability, do you feel intuitively that they are telling the truth? Do you agree with their assumption? Because it's only an assumption. It has not been proven. And I'm going to make sure you understand that it cannot be proven. You cannot prove a learning disability. You cannot prove mild mental retardation. You cannot prove ADHD. You cannot prove a conduct disorder. You cannot prove oppositional defiant disorder. You cannot prove a math disability. They are professional opinions. I need you guys to understand this. There's no learning disability tests. There's no mental retardation tests. There's no ADHD tests. There's no math disability tests. We as school psychologists and clinicians give out tests, but those tests do not diagnose the child. We diagnose the child. We look at the information that was provided by the test, which are only scores, by the way. The test only gives you scores. The test gives you numbers. The test does not give you a diagnosis. The test gives you numbers. I need y'all to understand this. Okay? Numbers. That's it. Numbers. It doesn't give you words, reading disability, emotional disturbance, ADHD. It does not do that. The test gives you numbers. So let's go back. The teacher comes to you and says, we think Jermaine Shoemake has a reading disability. When they say we think Jermaine Shoemake has a reading disability, Jermaine's mother has to decide within her own heart if she believes her son has this disability. Now, truth be told, the only problem Jermaine had was that he ain't been taught right. See, most of our children simply have not been taught how to read. They haven't been taught how to count. They haven't been taught how to write. Most of the time, this is not an SLD learning disability issue. Most of the time, this is a ain't been taught. ABT. Say it with me. Ain't been taught. 95% of the black children in America, in Canada, in the United Kingdom, who have been diagnosed with these so-called learning disabilities don't even have them. They just simply have not been taught. So if you know your child has not been taught, why are you consenting to a psychological evaluation? Stop believing everything the white teacher has to say about your child. Okay? She don't care about your child. She's not a natural stakeholder in the future of your child. Now I know we probably got some bougie black parents and, oh, he sounds so racist. Why would he tell me not to listen to the teacher? Well, I'll tell you what. You go ahead and listen to the teacher. And when your son ends up in special education, sitting in front of TV shows and photocopies for 7 hours a day for 180 days a year, don't come crying back to Dr. Umar Johnson because you got a letter in the mail 2 weeks before senior class graduation informing you that Jermaine will not be getting a high school diploma. He's going to be getting a certificate of completion. That's right, a certificate of completion, which is not a legal document, just something we printed out of the computer to make you and your son think that the past 12 years of school wasn't a total waste. If I am the first to tell you, please understand that black children in special education today are running a very serious risk of never getting a high school diploma. The charter school isn't going to tell you that. The public school isn't going to tell you that. The principals aren't going to tell you that. The teachers aren't going to tell you that. But Dr. Umar Johnson is going to tell you that. That's right. If your kid is in special ed, part-time to full-time, especially full-time, if you got a black kid in special ed full-time, you can't possibly be looking for a high school diploma. That's just ridiculous. Okay, full-time black special ed kids do not get high school diplomas. Okay, few of them do, and the ones that do are rarely academically functional. Okay, now you don't have to believe me. Let's see, I've been a school psychologist for almost 17 years. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology. I am certified as a school psych. I am a former school principal, so I think I know what I am talking about. I am the evaluator of choice for certain special ed attorneys and school districts, so I think I know a little bit about special education. Because some of y'all are going to watch this and go talk to some bougie black people who are going to try to contradict what I'm telling you. And guess what? That's your fault. My job is to tell you the truth. I can't stop you from listening to people who don't know what the hell they talking about. And I can't understand why a black parent would take advice from somebody who's not even a psychologist. You're getting advice. They never gave an IQ test. They never gave an achievement test. They never gave a psychological evaluation. They don't do what I do. So get your mind right. So let's go back. The psychological evaluation process. Somebody comes to you and tells you that your child has a disability and they want your permission to get them evaluated. Okay, I need y'all to understand something. Special education is a federal law. Special education is a federal law. What does that mean, Dr. Umar Johnson? That means that the feds control it. And in Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004, signed into law by former President George W. Bush, it is clearly enunciated in that legal document that you cannot consider special education for a child until you as the school have tried to address the concern without special education. In other words, if they tell you that Jermaine Shoemake has a reading disability, you should ask, what have you done to try to address my son's reading disability before you considered special education? I'm going to say this again because this is very important. The first question I need you to ask the school, the first question you need to ask the school is, what did you do to try to help my child before you considered special education? That's your first question. If you want to get more fancy, you can ask for a copy of your child's pre-referral intervention program. I'm going to say this again. This is how you really get fancy, black parents. I want to make sure y'all know how to beat these schools at their own game. You walk into the school Monday and you say, I got a letter requesting permission for me to allow my child to receive a psychoeducational evaluation to determine if he or she has a disability and to determine if they need special education in order to learn. I would like to see a copy of my child's pre-referral intervention program. Okay? What is a pre-referral intervention program? This is an academic, emotional, or behavioral plan that the school is legally required to develop and implement as a way of helping your child without special education. Now, I know some of you special ed parents are saying, wait a minute. Dr. Umar, did I just hear you say the school was supposed to try to help my child before they asked me to give permission for an evaluation? Yes. Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. The school was supposed to try to help the child before they asked for permission to evaluate. Why? Because special education is a very serious program. And you don't want to put kids in special education who don't have true disabilities. And let's be clear, 75% of our kids don't have true disabilities. Okay? Most of them simply ain't been taught. Not SLD, ABT. ABT, not SLD. Ain't been taught. So, first of all, make the school do the pre-referral intervention program. Academic intervention program, behavioral intervention program. Make them do it. Now, if you decide to get your child evaluated, you should then ask, will the evaluating school psychologist be African like my child? And the school might say, why is that important? And you're going to say, it is very important because in the world of psychology, rapport is very important. A child has to feel comfortable with the psychologist who is conducting the evaluation. If my child is not comfortable with the psychologist conducting the evaluation, it may affect their performance. Therefore, I want a culturally competent school psychologist. I'm going to say it again. I want a culturally competent African American school psychologist to evaluate my child. And if they say, I'm sorry, but we don't have any African American school psychologists on our staff, then you are going to say you need to hire one or borrow one from a neighboring school district, because I am not allowing my child to be tested by anyone who does not look like them. The results of this evaluation are going to be used to make decisions about my child's academic future. I don't even trust the evaluation process. Dr. Umar Johnson then already told me that you can't prove a learning disability anyway. So I don't even trust this. But if I'm going to go along with it, you better find me a black school psychologist. And they better not be bougie. Okay? Don't bring me no black man with a white wife. Bring me an unapologetically African black school psychologist. And if you can't find one, I'm going to go find one and bring them to you. That's right, parents. Tell the school, if you don't find me a black school psychologist, I'm going to find one for you and bring them to the school so you can pay them to evaluate my child. Okay? But let's back up. Let's back up. Before you even ask for the culturally competent African school psychologist. And by the way, this advice, you can use it in London, use it in Africa. Right here in South Africa, they got the apartheid educational system. You can use the same rationale. Okay? This is universal. Caribbean, same rationale. Okay? Now, before you even ask for the black psychologist, because if you're asking for the black psychologist, you've already consented to the eval. I want to back up because I want to persuade you. I want to dissuade you from getting your child evaluated. Umar Johnson's job is to make you stop and think. So first you ask for the pre-referral academic intervention program, pre-referral emotional or behavioral intervention program, right? Now check this out. Not unapologetically black, unapologetically African. See, a lot of you want to say, I created unapologetically African. And some of you Negroes ran off and called it unapologetically black because you don't want to be African. See, you bought into that. So this is not an unapologetically black movement because black is an adjective. Black is not a noun. It is an adjective. If you want to be unapologetically black, you must be unapologetically Negro, okay? My movement is unapologetically African, all right? AA, not AB, AA, unapologetically African. Now, let's get back to the topic. Other questions you should ask the principal or teacher. The teacher tells you that your son is in the 7th grade reading on the 4th grade level. Your son is in the 7th grade reading on the 4th grade level. You should ask the school, what is the instructional reading level in my child's classroom? What is the instructional math level in my child's classroom? You have to ask this question, because why is Jermaine Shoemake being evaluated for a reading disability? Because he's 3 grades behind. He's in the 7th, reading on the 4th. But then when you ask the teacher, what is the instructional reading level in the classroom? The teacher says 4th grade. Well, if my son is reading on the 4th grade, even though he's 3 levels behind, if the average instructional level in the classroom is the 4th grade, why is my son being singled out for special education? Why have we not created an intervention for the whole class? Don't take my son out of the class. Everybody in the class is below in reading. So what we need is an intervention program for the whole school, not just my son. So your first question should be, why is my son being singled out for special ed when you just told me that most of the kids in the class are reading 3 grades below level? So that's the number one thing. Guess what else you should ask him? Is the teacher making the referral for the special education evaluation? Is my child's teacher, who is making this referral for testing, is this teacher certified in my state? Is this teacher licensed in my state? Is this teacher a substitute, an emergency cert, or a long-term cert? Better yet, does this teacher meet highly qualified teacher criteria as laid out by the No Child Left Behind law? The No Child Left Behind law says in order for a teacher to be considered highly qualified, they must have a degree in education. They must have a license or certification in education. They must have passed a test to demonstrate their proficiency in teaching, and they must have demonstrated the ability to effectively teach. 4 criteria to be highly qualified. 4. Don't let no teacher influence you to get your child evaluated for special education when they are not even certified to teach the subject that they're claiming your child cannot learn. Let me say this again. How are you going to let Miss Slurbanowski, Miss Silverberg, tell you that Raheem needs special education for reading when she's not even a certified reading teacher? How are you going to let Mr. Slurbanowski tell you your daughter has a math disability when he's not even certified to teach math? Do you understand me, parents? Because y'all getting ridiculous with this special ed stuff, okay? It's out of hand. Special ed is out of hand. Okay? And I'm going to just be honest. Black parents, a lot of this is your fault. Because you ain't got no business letting white folks put a black kid in special ed when you know they don't even care about your children to begin with. In fact, let me ask you this. What do y'all think happens when your child goes into special education? What happens when your child goes into special education? And by the way, if any of you guys have a topic, political or educational, that you want me to do a Facebook live video for, You can WhatsApp me. Add me on WhatsApp. Don't text my phone because it's 50 cents a text. So don't be texting my phone. Add me on WhatsApp. Y'all know my number, right? It's 215-989-9858. I repeat, 215-989-9858. If you don't want to WhatsApp me, you can Facebook inbox me. You can Instagram inbox me. You can Twitter inbox me, or you could just send me an email, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. Okay, DRUMAR Johnson@yahoo.com. Okay, if this something, because I'm going to start doing educational videos for Facebook Live. Okay, since I am the only scholar in my age group in the so-called conscious community that has psychoacademic expertise. Okay, it's my responsibility to educate the parents about these different topics. I'm going to be doing videos on autism. I'm going to be doing videos on the reading disabilities. Even though they don't exist, I'm going to be giving you some strategies to work with the kids, ADHD. I'm going to be dealing with all of that. Okay, so I'm going to make sure you guys are very well educated. Okay. Now, another question you need to ask the teacher. Okay, so you're going to ask, is the teacher certified? You're going to ask, what is the instructional reading level? You're going to ask for the pre-referral intervention program. Okay. And then the other thing you want to ask, now this question is going to blow their minds. Y'all ready for this one? No black parent has ever asked this question. How long do the special ed kids in your school stay in special education before they are removed from the program and put back in the regular class? If you want to see some mouths drop open, I want you to ask this question. Ask this question. Again, the question is, how long, on average, how long do the children in your school stay in special education before they are removed from special education and put back in the regular classroom? Everybody mouth gonna go. You know why? Because they never take them out. Black kids stay in special ed until they graduate, if they graduate. You see, and you don't want nobody throwing your kid in special ed and locking them away with the special ed key, special ed jail. Okay, so here's what I need y'all to understand: when kids go to special education, the instruction gets dumbed down and slowed down. When kids go to special education, the instruction gets dumbed down and slowed down. So if you put your kid in special ed so they can catch up, can I ask you a question? If you put your daughter in special education so she could catch up, can you please explain to me how she going to catch up going slower? How do you catch up going slower? If the kids in special ed are moving at a slower rate than the regular children, how do they catch up? They don't catch up. That's the biggest lie in special ed. You stay there. See, remember, the schools get money. The schools get money for your child being in special education. You do know this, right? Special education is a business. I'm going to talk about the IEP in a minute. I'm going to come to the IEP. Sister Alicia, I got you. IEP is coming up next. Stop having ADHD, Alicia. Hold on. Now, the school gets money whenever you put the kid in special education. Okay? The special ed kids are worth, give or take a few dollars, 100% more than the regular kids. They're worth twice the money. Twice. So if you live in a school district where the regular kids get $5,000 a year spent on their education, then the special ed kids are worth about 10. If you live in a school district where the regular kids get about $10,000 spent on their education, then the special ed kids are worth $20,000. Okay? So special ed is a business. Don't nobody want to let your kid out of special education because they get too much money for putting them in there. Do you understand? Yes. And they can force you, if they want, to keep your kid in special ed. See, if the school does not agree with the parent who wants to take a child out of special education, the school can take the parent to due process with the state. They can put a complaint against you with the State Department of Education, who will send a hearing officer out to determine whether or not it is in your child's best interest to be released from special ed. Now, that rarely happens. That most of the time, if you want your kid out of special ed, they're not going to fight you. Most of the time, they're not going to fight you. But I do need you to understand that they can if they want. Okay? So, getting back to this, let's talk about the IEP. So first, your child gets referred for special ed. Then they get tested. Then they get labeled. Okay, now there's 13 federal special ed labels, but your state can add more. So your state might have 17 special ed categories. They might have 20 special ed categories. They might have 15 special ed categories, but there's 13 federal special ed categories. That means there's 13 that all the states have to respect and obey. Okay, they are the reading disability, intellectual disability, back up. They are the learning disability, okay? Specific learning disability. That could be reading, that could be math, that could be listening, that could be speaking, okay? So you have the specific learning disability. Then you have intellectual disability, which is also known as mental retardation, okay? You have autism. So the learning disability, intellectual disability, autism, emotional disturbance, speech and language impairment, orthopedic impairment, multiple disability, developmental delay, deaf kids, blind kids, children who are both deaf and blind. Who else am I missing out? Traumatic brain injury. There's 13, okay? Now, when your child gets evaluated, they get evaluated and they are classified with one of those 13 disabilities, okay? Now, here's what I need y'all to understand. Even if your child was classified with a disability, they do not automatically end up in special ed. Listen to me. This is very important because some of y'all think because the child has a disability, they automatically go to special education. That is not true. That is not true. In order for a child to qualify for special education in the United States of America, they must have a disability and they must demonstrate a need to be taken out of the regular class and put in the special class. If they don't need special learning, they don't need special ed, even with a disability. So, you have a kid with autism. Your autistic kid is a high-functioning autistic kid. He's very intelligent, very bright, very brilliant. Does your autistic kid need special ed? No. So why does he have an IEP? Because you let white folks hustle you. Your child has ADHD. Now, ADHD is not a special ed disability, but you can qualify for ADHD as a child with an other health impairment. A child with an other health impairment, okay? And you could qualify for ADHD. But if your ADHD kid doesn't have trouble learning, then your ADHD kid should not be in special education. You have a kid with a hearing impairment. They have been classified with a hearing impairment. They have trouble hearing. But with a hearing aid, can they learn in a regular class with a hearing aid? Yes. Well, if your hearing impaired child can learn in a regular class with a hearing aid, why are they in special ed? Okay, so special ed is disability plus need. Disability plus need. Say it with me. Disability plus need. Does a child go into special ed just because they have a disability? No, they must have a disability and a need for special education. See. Now, your kid is in special ed. You think they need the IEP. Okay? So let's talk about the IEP team. All right. And by the way, if there are any presidents of any of our chapters of the National Independent Black Parent Association, if any of the presidents are online, I would like for you to post so people can scroll up and find you. I would like for you to post the name of your chapter, your name, phone number, and email, so parents who want to get involved with your chapter can get involved. We have about 30 or so chapters of the National Independent Black Parent Association that will be launching on January the 1st. They are not open for business yet, so you cannot go to them for help right now. They are getting prepared for our national launch on January 1st. But if you want to help, if you want to become a part of a chapter, okay? So I see Sister Stacy, she put the email for the Greenville, South Carolina. So for my Greenville, South Carolina people, okay, you can get with Sister Stacy, or throughout South Carolina. I want the other chapter presidents to put their information up there too. Okay, I see Sister Stacy has done it. We do have a Houston chapter already. That's Sister Anisha, Sister Felicia. Hopefully one of them will chime in. If not, you guys can email me and I will forward them your information so they can get in contact with you. The National Independent Black Parent Association was founded in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, or should I say it was officially launched in Baltimore, Maryland, May 25th to the 27th. We had our first training conference. We had our second training conference in Houston, Texas a couple weeks ago, and we invite you to our third. Yes, there is a Detroit, Michigan chapter. Sister Julie is over the Detroit, Michigan chapter. I think we have a Tennessee chapter also. I don't know all the chapters by heart yet. I'm trying to learn them. But our third chapter, our third training will be in Oakland, California, January the 20th, Friday and Saturday, January the 26th and 27th, Oakland, California. So I'm hoping some of you who are interested in starting a chapter of this new and most important organization, join us in Oakland, California. Mark your calendars. Mark your calendars. Friday and Saturday, January 26th and 27th, so you can get the training, so you can go back to all these towns that you're posting under the live feed and start a chapter. Okay, we need you to help us out. Don't come looking for help. We want you to be a part of the solution. So save up your money, get you a round trip plane ticket. Okay, we'll have the information on the hotels and all that stuff will be coming out soon. Okay, and we want you to come and get the training. You cannot start a chapter unless you have had the training. You cannot start a chapter unless you have had the training. Okay, so Oakland, California, 26th or 27th. Okay, and what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to do a live feed soon where I just list all the chapters so you guys know what chapters we have, what chapters we don't have. But even if we have a chapter in your city, you should still come to the training because you need the training. And we need London, England to come on out because London, England needs the training as well. Shout out to London, England. You guys will see me soon. I'm working on it. Okay. I'm working on London, England. All right. No, there will be no online training. No online training. Why? Because if you're going to be working with me in the National Independent Black Parent Association, I need to know who you are. I need to see you. Okay. You're going to work with me. I need to see your face. Because you got haters out here, you got infiltrators, you got agents, you got opportunists. I'm not authorizing no chapters for anybody who I have not personally met and felt your energy. Okay? I got to meet you and see you. So it ain't no distant chapter. No. You're going to come and meet with me. You don't have to come to every single one, but you need to come to that first one. Okay? And get that training. So. Okay, let's talk about the IEP. Let's talk about the IEP. The IEP team, the Individual Education Program or Plan team, is the team that is responsible for determining the learning program for all children who have been classified with disabilities and determined to be in need of special education support. If you are in special ed, you have an IEP. If you are in special ed, you have been classified with a disability. There is no such thing as being in special ed without an IEP, and there is no such thing as being in special ed without a disability. So I want to make sure we're clear. If you're in special ed, you have a disability and you have an IEP. Now, the IEP team consists of who? Who are the mandated members of the IEP team? Number one, the parent, you. Yes, the parent is a mandated member of the IEP team. And then it is the regular education teacher that teaches the child. And then it is the special education teacher that teaches the child. So you got the regular ed teacher that teaches the child, the special ed teacher that teaches the child. You have the parent, and the fourth mandated member of the IEP team is the principal, which is whom is described by law as the local education agency, LEA. But the principal does not have to come to the IEP meeting if he or she designates another staff member to sit in their place. However, whoever the principal designates to serve as the LEA in your child's IEP meeting must have the ability to make educational decisions for your child. If the person the principal designates does not have the power to make educational decisions about that school, in that school, then they cannot legally serve as the LEA. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. You walk into an IEP meeting, and when you walk into the IEP meeting, the special ed coordinator is there, and they say, I am here as the LEA. My principal cannot make today's IEP meeting. I am here as the LEA. That's fine. Your question should be, as the parent, do you have the principal's permission to make decisions about my child's academic program? And if that person, which is normally the special ed liaison, if the person says, I do not have power to make any decisions, then guess what? They cannot act as the LEA. The law says that the person serving as the LEA in the IEP meeting must have the authority vested in them by the principal to make educational decisions in that school. So you know what you should say? We cannot go forward with this IEP meeting. We cannot go forward with this IEP meeting because the four mandated persons necessary to continue are not here. The parent is here, the regular ed teacher is here, the special ed teacher is here, but the LEA is not. And since you do not have all the members of my child's IEP team, we cannot move forward with this meeting. We have to reschedule it. And then you follow up with a letter to the principal, carbon copying the school district's director of special ed, telling them that I do not appreciate it, that you guys wasted my time. I took a half day of work to come in for this IEP meeting, and you didn't even have everybody necessary in order for this IEP meeting to go forward. If this happens again, I'm going to make a complaint against the school district at the State Department of Education. What if you are the parent seeking help for the child? Then you need to call my Tuesday morning Black Parent Conference. That's what you need to do, to make sure that the help you seek needs to be coming from the school. See, you don't want to be relying on the school for help because the schools can barely teach as it is. So how are they going to give out anything extra when they can't even do what they're supposed to do? Most of you simply need to work with your kids at home. You need to have your own IEP. You want special ed? Then have your own special ed in your house. That's the special ed that I will support. Have a special education waiting for your child when they get home. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Okay? Have your own special ed. You know what it's called? It's called tutoring. That's right. Get your child a tutor. Tutoring works better than any IEP. Tutoring works better than any IEP. That's right. get a retired teacher, get a college student, get a high school student to tutor your kid $20 an hour, 3 times a week, $60 a week. You can afford it. You spend more on that to get your nails done, your hair done, brothers to buy your new Timbs and your new Air Force Ones. You got $60 a week for your child. Get a tutor. Stop being lazy and put them in special ed. I'm going to say it again. Stop being lazy. Stop putting the kids in special ed and get them a tutor. Okay. Well, remember, you don't perform an IEP. You develop an IEP after the kid has been evaluated. Okay. So stage 1, referral. Stage 2, psychoeducational evaluation. Stage 3, IEP. You don't get an IEP unless you've been evaluated. Now, there's three responsibilities. There's 3 responsibilities of the IEP team. The IEP team's job is to do what? Number 1, design the program that your child is going to learn while they are in special ed. Okay? Your son has a reading disability. We know he ain't really been taught, and you lazy, so you got him an IEP because you ain't want to work with him yourself. You lazy. Okay, but anyhow, your son has a reading IEP. Okay? Once they get the IEP team has to come up with the program. What is he going to be working on in reading while he's in special ed? What is he going to be working on in reading while he's in special ed? What are the goals? What are the objectives? What are the strategies? Don't put your kid in special ed and you don't even know what they're going to be doing with the special ed kid. Don't put your kid in special ed and you don't even know what they're going to be doing in special ed. Okay? So the first thing is to go to the IEP meeting. And when y'all go to the IEP meeting, you should come with your own handwritten lists of goals and strategies. You should be telling the school what you want them to work on. Let me say that again. You should be telling the school what you want them to work on. Don't let the school tell you. You should tell the school. Okay? My son needs help with his phonemic awareness, his phonological awareness, his chunking, his reading comprehension. Okay? My daughter needs work with her triple digit multiplication, her double digit division. Tell the school what your child should be working on. Don't let them tell you. You should know. You the mother and the father. You should know. Okay? Don't be another trifling black special ed parent. We don't need no more trifling black special ed parents. Okay? So, with that being said, the IEP team is supposed to come up with the program. That's number 1. Number 2, the IEP team is supposed to come up with the placement. Did y'all hear that? Where is the special education going to take place? Is the child going to stay in a regular class and the special ed teacher comes into the regular class to help your child? Is your child going to get pulled out and receive an itinerant level of special ed support? Which is what I recommend. I don't want a kid in special ed unless they're getting pulled out. I want them in the regular class, going to special ed, only for the subject that's necessary. So if they got a reading IEP, I only want them going to special ed for reading. They got a math IEP, they should be getting pulled out for math only. Getting pulled out for reading only, getting pulled out for math only, getting pulled out for speech only. That's it. That's all I want to see. Okay? If your child is in special ed part-time, I need you to explain to me why your child need to be in special ed half the day. If your child is in special ed full-time, I need you to explain to me why your child is in special ed all day long. And by the way, if your child is in special ed all day long, okay, if your child is in special education all day long, I can pretty much guarantee you that the school is breaking the law. Okay? I can pretty much guarantee you that the school is breaking the law because the law says, okay, there's a special ed law. Okay. It's known as LRE, least restrictive environment. LRE, least restrictive environment. That means that a child should only be in special education to the extent necessary in order for them to learn. Your child should only be in special education to the extent necessary in order for them to learn. Okay? If your child is in special ed all day and they're not severe or profound autism, severe and profound intellectual disability, severe and profound blindness, deafness, hearing impairment, orthopedic impairment, traumatic brain injury. If your child is in special ed all day for a reading disability, I can guarantee you the school is breaking the law. If your child is in special ed all day for ADHD, I can guarantee you the school is breaking the law. And if it is a single black mother and a black kid in the ghetto in a poor school, I know they got them in special ed all day. You know why? Because the only reason why the teacher wanted your kid to be tested in the first place is so they could kick them out the classroom. That's right. In the ghetto schools, special education is a way for white teachers to get rid of black kids they don't want to be bothered with. Did you hear that? Special education is a way for white teachers to get rid of black kids they don't want to be bothered with. Yep. You see? So let's go over the 3 responsibilities of the IEP team. Number 1, to design a program your child is going to learn while they're in special ed. Number 2, to determine where they're going to receive the special education. Number 3, what is the 3rd responsibility of the IEP team? The 3rd responsibility of the IEP team is known as progress monitoring. You know what that means? That means the IEP team has to make sure that your child is progressing in special ed. The IEP team has to make sure special ed is working for your child. So, how do you get a kid who's been in special ed 8 years, still can't read? Where was the progress monitoring? How you get a special ed kid, been in special ed 4 or 5 years, still can't count? There was no progress monitoring. And you are the parent. So as the parent, I'm holding you responsible as the case manager for your child. Did you hear that? Okay? You're the case manager. You are. You're supposed to know when the IEP is up. And by the way, parents, I need y'all to know that, yes. Listen, that was a good question that just came up. Somebody just asked, if you sign permission for the school to evaluate your child, can you rescind your request? Yes. Yes. All you have to do is write another letter to the principal. Okay? I am writing this letter to make you aware that I no longer want my son, Jermaine Shoemake, to be evaluated by your school. I have decided that I'm going to get him a tutor and I'm going to work with my son myself. I do not want this evaluation to proceed. You are being requested to cease and desist the evaluation. I do not want it, and I am stopping the evaluation right now. Please cease and desist with the psychological evaluation. If you have any questions, please call me. Okay? Yes, you can withdraw it. If you want your kid out of special ed, what do you got to do? If you want your kid out of special ed, all you have to do is call an IEP meeting. Okay? You go to the meeting and you say, I want my son out of special ed. Will you please give me the paperwork to sign so y'all can exit my child? And make sure you sign paperwork, because they will tell you that they will exit your son and they will take him out the special ed class. But what they didn't tell you is they still have him as a special ed kid on the computer. So since he's still listed as a special ed kid on the computer, the school is still getting money. The school will still get money for your child. So you have to get them out of special ed by signing. Make sure you sign your name and keep a copy of the paperwork. And speaking of paperwork, a lot of you parents don't have no organized file or folder for your special ed kids' paperwork. Where is the paper? Some of y'all ridiculous. If your kid is in special ed and you can't find all the IEPs, your kid is in special ed and you don't have the psychological evaluations,
That's not cool. That's a trifling black parent. That's trifling. That's trifling. You should have every report card, every teacher's note, every psychological evaluation. You should have every IEP. You should have everything. You should have everything. Don't talk about your kid is in special ed and you don't have the paperwork, okay? So make sure you keep the paperwork for your special ed child. That's the only way that this is going to work out, okay? Of course, they're going to demonize you, but this is your child. So whether they demonize you or not, you should continue to fight, because that is yeah, they're going to give you a difficult time. Of course, they're going to give you a difficult time. What is the job of public school? The job of public school is to prepare black children for failure. Let me say it again. The job of the public school is to prepare the black child for failure. The public school is an extension of the prison system. So of course they're going to fight you. Of course they're going to give you a hard time. This is why I don't want mothers going to the school by yourself, nor do I want fathers going to the school by yourself. Take somebody with you. I want the mothers to go with somebody. I want the fathers to go with somebody. Okay, don't go by yourself. All right? Do not go alone. Always take somebody with you. When January comes, you'll be able to call the National Independent Black Parent Association chapter in your city, and one of them will go with you, or find someone to go with you. But don't go by yourself. Make sure you keep your paperwork together. Okay? But you can get your kid taken out of special ed Monday if you want. Okay? But let me say this. I'm catching a little cold too. I need some tea. I need somebody to bring me some tea. Anyhow. Okay, what was I about to say? Special ed. I was about to say something else. Oh, yes. When your child gets evaluated, when you get the evaluation, if you don't agree with the evaluation, you have a right to a second opinion. It's called the independent educational evaluation. Let me say it again. You have a right to a second opinion. It's known as the independent educational evaluation. And what you do is you go out and you find a school psychologist of your choice to evaluate your child, to determine whether or not the initial evaluation was correct, and the school district has to pay for that evaluation. Yeah, I'm getting the snuffles. I hope I ain't catching no cold, but I don't know why I'm catching a cold. It's springtime in South Africa, but nonetheless, probably switching the time zones and the climates and all that. But just keep in mind, you have a right to a second opinion, okay? So the school can't make you do nothing. You are in control. I also want you parents to know that you can request an IEP meeting whenever you feel like it. Whenever you feel like it. I also want you parents to know that you can get your child evaluated once every year if you want to. And I also want you parents to know that if you can prove that the school has not been properly educating your special ed child, you can make the school pay for your kid to go to an approved private school. That's right, an approved private school. You can make the school district pay $30,000 a year for your kid to go to an approved private school if you can prove that they are not properly educating your child. Okay? Now I'm going to answer some questions. Okay? So go ahead and let's see what questions I got. If they already have an IEP, can you get a second opinion? Okay, remember, you don't get a second opinion on an IEP. You get a second opinion on the diagnosis or the classification. So if your child has already been in special ed for a year, they were put in special ed for a reading disability, you don't believe your son has a reading disability, but he's been in special ed for a year. Yes, you can request an independent educational evaluation. You will write a letter to the principal and you will say, my son was put in special ed a year ago. I now know information that I did not know before. I don't think my son really has a reading disability. I think he ain't been taught. I am requesting an independent educational evaluation at school district expense by a school psychologist of my choice to determine whether or not my child really has a reading disability. Okay? The video is frozen. Is the video frozen for real? Or is that just Stacy's phone messing up? Can y'all still see me? Or did Mark Zuckerberg interrupt my flow? Okay, is the video frozen? Somebody tell me if the video was frozen or not, because I don't want to keep going if you guys can't see me. Okay. Can somebody tell me if the video was frozen? Okay, no, the video is not frozen. Okay. Janine said the video was not frozen. Okay. Somebody said, yes, it is frozen. Patricia said hers is not frozen. Okay. Rasta said I'm good. So I guess some of y'all just need to pay your phone bill. Okay, just pay your phone bill. Okay, let me see some more questions. Let me scroll all the way up. See if I got some questions. Well, you know what? If you ask the question, just post it again, so I ain't got to roll through all these. Okay, so let me scroll back down. If you have a question about the special education evaluation process, go ahead and post it. Okay. Okay, it's their phone. Any questions? This is your time, parents. You have a live Tuesday morning consultation. Alexandria said, I can see you. It interrupts from time to time. Okay, I have any questions? Okay, charter versus public. Good question. Okay. The charter school by law is an alternative public school. So everything that I just talked about applies to the charter school because the charter school is a public school. Does everybody understand what I just said? The charter school is a public school. So everything I just said applies to the charter school. Janine said, how can they do a specific learning disability and not have enough for a definite diagnosis? Because you can't prove it. It's something that white folks made up to miseducate our kids, to separate the black kids from the white kids. It is a justification for poor and inferior education. You cannot prove a learning disability. You cannot prove a learning disability. So yes, it's a made-up diagnosis, just like ADHD. They made this stuff up, and we take it and we run with it. Remember now, Frederick Douglass taught himself how to read. We've had scores of ancestors who taught themselves how to read. How do you learn how to read on your own during slavery? But now we have black kids in America who don't know how to read and can't learn. You believe that? If you believe that, you belong in slavery. How could I get my children more help at school? Well, my first question, Chiquita, is how can you give your child more help at home? Okay? Okay, I'm all about self-determination. So how can you get them more help at school? Maybe we need to be getting them more help at home. Okay? Is the charter school better than the public school? Okay. First of all, I need one of y'all to post, how long have we been on this Facebook? Because I think I can only go for an hour, right? What's the limit on Facebook Live? I heard the Facebook Live limit is only an hour. Is that true? Can I go longer on Facebook Live, or is Facebook Live only an hour? Can somebody tell me that? Because I don't want to get cut off. Anyhow, is the charter school better than the public school? It depends on the public school, and it depends on the charter school. Some charter schools are better than the public school. Some public schools are better than the charter school. There's some excellent public schools. There's some excellent charter schools. There's some horrible public schools, and there's some horrible charter schools. So it all depends on what school you're talking about. Okay, private school and special ed. Okay. Remember what I said earlier. Special ed is a federal program. Special ed is a federal program. Private schools do not have to have special ed. Private schools can elect to have special ed. Private schools are not required to have special ed. If a private school receives federal funding, they are required to have special ed. Okay? Do anger issues come under special ed? Anger is not one of the 13 federally defined special ed categories. However, they might try to use emotional disturbance. They might try to put your angry child in special ed under emotional disturbance. Or they might try to get you to get him evaluated outside of school and diagnosed with conduct disorder or oppositional defiant disorder, and then use the conduct disorder or the oppositional defiant disorder to place your kid in special education. But remember, if you don't sign permission for them to evaluate, they can't put them in special ed. Okay? If you don't give permission, they are powerless to do anything. You cannot test without parent permission. You cannot evaluate without parent permission. You cannot put them in special ed without parent permission. What is the difference in special ed and special needs? Nothing. Okay. Special ed kids are quote unquote special needs. But normally when you're dealing with special needs kid, you're dealing with a kid who needs more than just special ed. Like special needs kids are not just special ed kids. These are kids who might need ambulatory services. They might need one-to-one assistance. They might, need transportation. They aren't able to take care of themselves. Special needs kids, generally speaking, are in greater need than just having an IEP. The schools work against the parents to keep the money. Very true, Marquise, very true. Tiffany says, people are asking about charter schools. Well, I'm going to do a whole video on homeschooling. So we ain't going to deal with homeschooling tonight because we're going to deal with homeschooling later. Okay, but I'm going to just say this. If you are a lazy, trifling black parent, do not homeschool your child because you will probably do a worse job than a public school. But what you can do is you can hire a homeschooling parent to homeschool your child. You can hire a homeschooling teacher to homeschool your child. Do you need permission from the school to homeschool? I wouldn't say you need permission, but you do need to register if you're going to homeschool your child. If you do not register to homeschool your child, you will go on the truancy list. Every day that your homeschool kid misses school, that will be counted against them for truancy. And depending on whatever your county considers to be the truancy maximum, 15 days or 10 days or 30 days, you will have police coming to your home or your job, or a social worker coming to your home or your job, and they will arrest you and put your child in Child Protective Services because you were homeschooling, but you forgot to register the child. If you're going to homeschool your kid, go down to the local school district, let them know you're going to homeschool, fill out the paperwork so you don't get in trouble, Tanya. Okay. What do you think of online schools? Good question. Who asked me that? That was a good question. Who asked me that? Janine, what do you think of online schools? Here's my thing, Janine. I'm old school educator. Okay, I'm a Booker T. Washington, Mary McLeod Bethune type. I do not support online schools unless it is the only alternative available to parents. So let me give you an example. Your kid is a behavioral problem. The school is threatening to expel him. So you take him out and put him in an online cyber charter school. I will support that because I'd rather him be on an online platform than get expelled. But if your child has the ability to go to a physical school, I do not support online schooling. Half of learning is interaction. Half of learning is socialization. Half of learning is questions and answers. Half of learning is building relationships with other kids your age. You can't do that online. You can to an extent, but it's not the same. It's not as organic. And so for me, Online learning is lazy ass learning. Let me say it again. Online learning is lazy ass learning. Let me say it one more time. Online learning is lazy ass learning. For your child to really get a good education, they need to be in the class. They need to feel the other students, feel the teacher, laugh. They need to learn how to build relationships. They need the effective interaction that can only come from being right there, physically present in their learning environment. I am not a supporter of online schools. No, I'm not. Now, I do understand there's some online schools coming up in the conscious community, and if you want to be a part of that, go ahead. Okay. But I don't support online schools. I don't care if it's Hotep or not. Okay. That's just a hustle to get paid off of black kids, because any serious educator knows that there's no replacement for in-your-face education. Go ask Booker T. Washington if he wants an online school. Go ask Mary McLeod Bethune. Go ask Dr. George Washington. Go ask Carter G. Woodson. Go ask W.E.B. Du Bois if they want an online school. I don't want no. Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy is going to be in your face education. When are you coming back to Washington, D.C.? As soon as I can rent a venue that can seat 400 people, I'll come back to Washington, D.C. If you know of a venue that can seat 400 people, then please WhatsApp it. Okay, Brother Eddie said, why do they give out IEP diploma instead of a regular diploma, even though you already wasted half of your life? Good question, Eddie, because the purpose of public school, my brother, is to prepare black boys for prison and black girls for poverty. You heard that, Eddie? The purpose of school is to prepare black boys for prison and black girls for poverty. And that's why they let you waste 12 years of your life in school knowing damn well they're not going to give you a diploma. Can they legally put your child out for noncompliance? What do you mean? Legally put your child out of what for noncompliance, Sister Allison? When will your school be open? There's two answers to that, Brother Chidi. The first answer is, if y'all get me $2 million tomorrow, I could buy St. Paul's. So when I get back to America on November 1st, so we could be open by September. That's the easy answer. The other answer is that St. Paul's is costing too much money, and Dr. Umar is going to go and open up a regular school. I'm just going to get a regular school. So I'm currently in a national and international school search, because the brothers and sisters here in South Africa told me to put the school in South Africa. They said, bring that school to Johannesburg. So this is what I need y'all to do in America. I need y'all to start WhatsApping me some real estate pictures of schools that are available in your city that has land around it. I want me a nice little, because we got 700,000. That's not a whole bunch of money, but we can get us a nice little 300 student school, you know what I mean, for about $500,000, and we could use the other 200 grand to fix it on up. Okay. So if you know of a school that's available for sale where you live at, all you got to do is send me a picture of the school and the phone number of the realtor, and I will fly to your city and visit the school. It's just that simple. So I need y'all to help me out. Okay. What do you do when the schools are not following the IEP? You call an IEP meeting and you express your grievance. First of all, what do you have a problem with? Arden, do you have a problem with the program? Do you have a problem with the placement? Do you have a problem with your child's progress? Do you have a problem with all three? But all decisions for special ed kids are made by the IEP team at the IEP meeting. So it sounds like you need to be calling an IEP meeting. What about independent schools? Independent schools don't have to have private school. Excuse me. Independent schools don't have to have special ed. Independent schools don't have to have special ed. Precious. If your child has an IEP and Houston requires students to pass a standardized test without accommodation, regardless of IEP, to pass to the next grade regardless, can I do anything about that? Yes, special ed kids have a right to an IEP. Special ed kids have a right to an IEP, and because special education is grade appropriate, Precious, you can actually fight the Houston Public School District to put your kid up to the next grade. But here's my question, Precious. Do you want your child going to the next grade if they don't have the skill to be successful at the next level? How can I get more info about your educational movement? You can send me an email. You can WhatsApp me. But really, to be honest, the best way to get information about my educational movement is to come to the next National Independent Black Parent Association Conference in Oakland, California. January 26th and 27th. And I'm going to bring you all up to date with the movement. Okay. And make sure y'all donate to the fundraiser, GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar. GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar. Or you can mail in your donations. I know some of y'all mailed in some checks. I'm running late on the deposits, but don't worry. I got it. Do not cancel that check. We need it. Do not cancel that check. Okay. It's good to go. Okay. I'm going to deposit all them checks when I get back on November the 1st. Do not cancel those checks. Okay. What else we got? Are you coming to Nashville? Find me a venue that can seat 400 people. Send me the information in my inbox, and I'll come to Nashville. How can you prove that private school is needed in large school districts who say they offer everything? Okay, good question, Ashley. That's going to be the argument. That's the argument between you and the school district. Ashley is going to argue that the school hasn't been meeting my child's needs. The school district is going to argue that they have been meeting your child's needs. And your job, Ashley, is to have all the evidence to prove that the school hasn't been meeting your child's needs. Okay? If your kid been in special ed for more than 2 years and they haven't made any measurable gain, you're going to win that challenge. And if the school don't agree with you, they say, no, we are not going to pay for a private school. What do you do then, Ashley? You then go to the State Department of Education and you file a due process complaint. I repeat, you go to the State Department of Education and you file a due process complaint. You file a due process complaint against the school district. They're going to send a hearing officer out and they're going to let Ashley tell her side of the story, and they're going to let the school tell their side of the story, and the hearing officer is going to decide whether or not Ashley is correct in arguing that the school has failed her child, or whether the school is correct in arguing that they have not failed your child and that the problem is Ashley is not a good mother and we can't find her for meetings and she doesn't check on her child and she don't make him do his homework. So the school is going to try to blame you, Ashley. They're going to try to blame you. So you got to make sure you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. I need some cayenne pepper. I need somebody to overnight me something. Overnight me. I need what I need. I need some cayenne pepper. I need some homemade chicken noodle soup, but I don't eat chicken no more. I'm only fish and seafood. But I might have to make an exception because whenever I eat chicken noodle soup, I am instantly healed. Juzanne said, oh my goodness, I didn't know that because there are a lot of charter schools are popping up all over Memphis. Shelby County school system. I will be at the University of Memphis, Juzanne Johnson. We might be related, Juzanne, since we got the same last name. But I will be at the University of Memphis on November the 19th. Okay. Isaiah, the answer to your question is yes, Isaiah. You already know that. Can you explain charter school in more detail? Well, the charter school is a public school that is managed by private citizens. The charter school is a public school that is managed by private citizens. Because it is a charter school, they are allowed to create their own curriculum. They design their own program. They create their own school day, but they must obey all public school laws. Okay, Eric? So it's basically, charter school is a public school. They just make black parents think that they private. They call you up and tell you to come get your kid before we kick him out. Charter school can't kick your kid out. Charter school board of directors can give your child an expulsion hearing at which you have a right to plead your child's case. It's called due process, procedural due process. And then they might vote to expel your child, but they can't kick your charter schools are public schools. I need y'all to understand that. The charter school is a public school. They just make you think they private. And because you think they private, they get away with breaking the law. What if they haven't placed your child in special ed, but he's in a reading program for special ed? Tamika. If your child has not been classified with a disability, and if your child does not have an IEP, your child has no business in the special ed classroom. You have a lawsuit. They have put your kid in special ed without permission. That is a lawsuit. It's time for you to call up a lawyer, sue him for $10 million and give me $2 million for St. Paul's. Okay, Tamika? If your regular ed kid is in a special ed class, they breaking the law. You can't put a kid in special ed unless they have a disability and you have the parents' permission. So, Tamika, it sounds like they special educating your kid without your permission. That is illegal. So you will say a child with a learning disability and reading comprehension has been given a made-up diagnosis. Nevia Brooks, that's exactly what I'm saying, especially for reading comprehension, Nevia. You want to know why, Nevia? Because black kids are lazy, Nevia, okay? And schools do not teach black kids reading comprehension skills effectively, Nevia. Do you know when Umar Johnson learned reading comprehension? And I was a straight A kid. You know when I learned? I learned as a freshman at Millersville University in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I taught myself how to comprehend what I read because I was never effectively taught in school, even though I had terrific teachers and terrific parents. But they never taught me how to comprehend what I read. So I know that if your kid is in special ed for a reading disability, they ain't been taught. Don't special educate them, Nevia. Work with them at home. I got to plug this phone in because they said I got 10% juice left. Okay. So yes, Nevia, I would never diagnose a kid with a reading comprehension disability. That's crazy. Because black kids, let's look at it, Nevia. In order for you to be a good comprehender of what you read, you have to be paying attention to what you read. You must be putting forth effort to understand what you read. You must be motivated to interpret what you read. A lazy kid is going to struggle in reading comprehension because they don't care. I'm not putting no kid in special ed for no reading comprehension disability when I know half y'all kids don't read anyway. Do you got a bookshelf? And I'm not talking to you, Nevia, right now. This is just general. I'm not picking on you, sweetheart. But how many of y'all make y'all kids read? How many of y'all have a bookshelf? How many of y'all got dictionaries at home? How many of y'all got thesauruses at home? I'm not putting no black kid in special ed for no reading comprehension when they don't even get enough practice at home. You're the reading disability, not the child. But that's not for you, Nevia. Okay, babe? Okay. I'm looking for more questions. Somebody said, you're past the hour, keep going. So I guess they don't. Oh, okay, somebody told me Facebook Live cut you off in an hour. So maybe it's not. Okay. When are you coming to the Bahamas? Yeah, yo, boss. I was supposed to come to the Bahamas 2 or 3 times. I got 2 or 3 invites, but they never followed through. So if the good people of the Bahamas want Dr. Umar to come to the Bahamas, I'm more than willing. Just send your request to drumarspeaks@yahoo.com. That's for everybody, by the way. If you want to invite me to speak, send your request to drumarspeaks@yahoo.com. You can also use drumarspeaks@gmail. Either one. drumarspeaks@gmail.com, drumarspeaks@yahoo.com. Okay, either one you want to use is fine with me. Okay? And by the way, I don't charge for prison and juvenile detention centers. You just have to get me there, but I don't charge. Okay, so if anybody watching this live feed, if you work at a prison, juvenile detention center, ladies prison, halfway house, drug addicted population, anything like that, I don't charge. You just have to get me there because this is not about a hustle. This is about a struggle. Okay, I am not a hotep capitalist. Okay, let's keep going. Where do you find a psychologist? Okay, Association of Black Psychologists, Denise. If you need the phone number and email address to the Association of Black Psychologists, you can WhatsApp me or email me for that. Okay, WhatsApp me. Okay, Everett said you get 2 hours and 45 minutes on the live feed. That's not bad. Okay. But Denise, add me on WhatsApp, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. And I will give you the information for the Association of Black Psychologists. What is my thoughts on homeschooling? I like homeschooling if y'all gonna do it right. But some of y'all not gonna do it right. Y'all gonna leave them kids in the house with Sesame Street and Nintendo while you go do what you do. Okay? Somebody said you could be on live stream as long as you want. I didn't know that. Okay. My child meets all of his academic goals but still has an IEP. What do you suggest our next steps? Now, when you say he met his goals, now remember now, the goals on the IEP, Felicia McKissick, those goals are they grade level goals? In other words, your son is in the 5th grade, hypothetically. He's reading on the 3rd grade level. His IEP goal is to get him up to the 4th grade level. Okay, he's up to the 4th grade level, but he's not on grade level yet. So now what you need to do is you need to call an IEP meeting. Felicia, you need to call an IEP meeting and tell them that you want to change the goals. My son has already met these goals. It's halfway through the year. I don't want him wasting a whole nother half of the school year. So we need to have an IEP meeting to write some new goals. Now, Felicia, if you tell me your son is on grade level, then I want to know, why is he still in special ed? Because if you on grade level, you have no business being in special ed. Okay. If a private denies a child an education based on special ed, okay, Nivea, good question. No, you can't sue. Listen to me, Nivea. If your child has an IEP, the private schools can deny them admission. Yes, the private school can deny your black child a seat in their school if your child has an IEP, because private schools are not obligated to provide special ed services. They're not publicly funded. Publicly funded schools have special ed. Private schools don't have to have special ed. So yes, if your child has an IEP, the private school can say his black behind cannot come here, and you cannot sue. Okay? Nope, you cannot sue. It's a private school. They don't have to take special ed kids. When I open up the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, I don't have to take special ed kids, but I'm going to take them because ain't none of them special. They come from special schools with special teachers with special ed parents. Okay? So I want all the special ed kids at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy because I'm going to show you how special they is. So special that they never needed an IEP. You were the problem, not the child. We are considering homeschooling, but we don't have a network. It's time to build the network, Juzanne. Why don't you come to Oakland and start a chapter of the Parent Association? Because our 7 committees are Special Ed Committee, Discipline Committee, Finance Committee, Policy Committee, Social Support Committee, Parent Advocacy Committee, and Homeschooling. So, Juzanne, you need to come to Oakland so you can start that homeschooling committee. Another good question. Nevia, ODD and conduct disorder are not special ed categories. That is correct. However, there is a category known as other health impairment because conduct disorder and oppositional defiant disorder are psychiatric and psychological diagnoses. You can qualify for special ed service as a child with conduct disorder or oppositional defiant disorder as a child with other health impairment. So you're correct. They're not special ed categories, but you can qualify for special ed with ODD, CD, ADHD as a child with other health impairment. How can I gauge progress if my child is on a different grading rubric? Well, what is the grading rubric? Because in special ed, they grade based on progress and effort. So special ed parents are often misled about the child's progress because they make you think your child has made a lot of progress when they have not, because they come home with straight A's on their report card and your special ed kid is making the honor roll, and you don't understand how your special ed kid is making the honor roll when they can barely read. That's because in special ed, kids are graded based on effort. So be careful, special ed parents. Those straight A's and B's are not really straight A's and B's. Are you willing to come in for a second opinion eval? I'm certified in Pennsylvania, so if you don't live in Pennsylvania, I can't do the independent educational eval. You have to text me or email me for the Association of Black Psychologists number and email so we can find you somebody who can do it in your state. You can only evaluate in your state because all professions are regulated by state. Son has dyslexia. He has an IEP, gets additional assistance, going to high school next year. Would he have to be placed in special ed? No. No, if he has an IEP, he's special ed. So he is a special ed kid, but he don't have to be placed. Remember, placement can be the regular class. You could call an IEP meeting
when your son goes to high school, and say, I want my son, Crystal, this is for Crystal Gordon, I want my son to stay in the regular class. His placement is going to be the regular class, and I want the special ed teacher to come and help my child in the regular class during reading. He does not have to go to a special ed class. Remember, special ed is a program, not a place. Special ed is a program, not a place. What about mentally gifted? Mentally gifted is no longer a part of special ed, so you have to check with your state to see if your state still has mentally gifted law. Pennsylvania, where I live, still has mentally gifted law. So in Pennsylvania, if you think your child is mentally gifted, you can write a letter to have your child evaluated. And if he scores a 130 IQ on the IQ test, and if he has straight A's and B's, and if he is at least one grade above level, he will qualify for the mentally gifted program. But you have to check on your state, because some states like Michigan, I believe, no longer have mentally gifted programs. So family, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get ready to roll out, because my throat is getting scratchy, and I don't have any lemon. I don't have no lime. I don't have no tea, but hopefully I'll get through the night and get some tomorrow. What time is it? In Philadelphia, it is 7:45 East Coast, right? You guys are at 7:45. So that means it is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's 1:45. You guys got me up 2 in the morning. Okay, but I'll meet y'all tomorrow morning. I'm going to do another video tomorrow before I go to my lecture, or right after my lecture. I'm speaking in Johannesburg tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Okay. If he says, you don't need permission from the school, you have to sign a letter of intent from the state. Well, from the local school district. I think she's talking about homeschooling. Yeah, you got to fill out the form, the local school board. You don't have to necessarily get it from the state. Some states have homeschooling supports. Okay. And yeah, y'all need to read my book. If you ain't read Psychoacademic Holocaust, you need to read Psychoacademic Holocaust. And if there's any bookstores out there who need to order Psychoacademic Holocaust, then inbox me and I can get you some copies shipped. Okay. Wholesale Psychoacademic Holocaust. A case of books is 32. A case of books is 32. So if you order in 32 copies, I give you the wholesale rate for 32 copies of Psychoacademic Holocaust. Nivea said mentally gifted students. No, mentally gifted students are not special ed. No, they are not. Now, your state might still include them, but I don't know of any states that still include mentally gifted kids under special ed, because the feds have taken giftedness out of special ed laws. So MG is no longer the same as LD, which means schools don't get paid for putting kids in special ed. Now, this is what I need y'all to do. Somebody said I need fish oil. Well, I'm going to get some fish oil. It's 2 o'clock in the morning in Joburg. But anyhow, I'm going to read through all of these questions, because when I read through your questions, I might get some ideas for some Facebook videos that I need to do. Happy Independence Day to my Nigerian brothers and sisters. Cincinnati, I'm working on you now. When are you starting the school? I'm going to start the school when y'all give me enough money. Y'all keep talking about when the school going to start. Give me some money. The school will start when we get enough money to buy a school. So I'm trying to find a school that I can afford with the $700 grand right now. I'm also thinking about leasing the school, but I really don't want to lease. You know what I mean? Because once you get in there, you really want to make the school yours. You want to paint it and do all the different stuff to it. And I don't want to be paying for repairs in a lease building. You know what I mean? I kind of want to own it. You know, but I'm hoping one of y'all find me a nice little cute little school. This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping somebody say, Doc, look at this school I found. It's small. It's about 300 to 500 students that got a little bit of land around it. And they only want like $250,000. That's what I'm hoping one of y'all bring me. That will be a dream right there. Okay? And I don't care if it's in the South, Southeast, East Coast, Midwest, Pacific Midwest, Pacific Northwest, West Coast, Southwest. Okay? But I'm hoping one of y'all, bring me that. What else we got? Well, Nigeria got a lot of millionaires. So you get one of those millionaire Nigerians to call me up and say, Dr. Umar, come to Nigeria. We're going to build the school for you. I am on my way. Trust me. I think Nigeria has more millionaires than almost any country in the East. Obama Leadership School in Dallas. I don't know anything about the Obama Leadership School in Dallas, but if it's a good school, go ahead and give your child a chance. I don't think I'll be putting my kid in any school named after Obama, though, but I'm just kidding. No, if it's a good school, I don't care about the name on the school. Check it out, investigate it. If it's a good school, go ahead, give it a shot. Okay, let me see here. I'm scrolling down. Where do we donate? You donate at gofundme.com/Dr. Umar. gofundme.com/Dr. Umar. In fact, do me a favor. If you watch tonight's video and I helped you at all, if I didn't help you, don't worry about it. But if you learned something, or if I was able to help you in some way, shape, or form, please go to gofundme.com/Dr. Umar and make a donation. I don't care if it's $5. I know, times is hard. If you can give me 100, give me 100. If you can give me 1,000, give me 1,000. If you can give me 50, give me 50. If you can give me 20, give me 20. But if you could, go to the fundraiser site, make a donation. I would greatly appreciate that. If you don't want to donate online, mail me a check or money order payable to FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, PA 19132. So on that note, brothers and sisters, I'm going to sign out. South Africa, Prince of Pan-Africanism. Can't wait to see you guys. Virginia State. What is that? Virginia State, I just forgot the date. Virginia State is November 3rd. Orlando, Florida, November the 5th. Columbus, Georgia, November the 22nd. South Carolina, the prison tour, 2nd week of November. Turks and Caicos Island, 3rd week of November. Who else I got coming up? University of Memphis, November the 19th. Okay. Elizabeth, New Jersey, December the 9th. And then I have Queens the next day, like the 10th. Please forgive me. I got South African dates all in my head right now. Shout out to Kenya. I'm going to be in Nairobi, Kenya. Shout out to the Mau Mau revolutionary soldiers. Jomo Kenyatta, all the Pan-Africanists from Kenya. Can't wait to come to Kenya in a couple weeks.